My love was my decay. This line appears in Sonnet 80, and I think it describes my and the community's relationship to Destiny and Bungie as a whole very well. The speaker's intense love for their beloved was the very thing that caused their downfall, destruction, or weakness, making them feel powerless and inadequate in comparison to a rival. The metaphor of ships across this sonnet used to describe how the beloved is a vast and deep ocean, while the speaker is a small and weak boat that risks being wrecked by the same love, is truly on the nose for this game. Bungie has seen far better days. We as a community have seen far better days. And if I'm being quite honest, those days are never coming back. Not with this game, and not with this version of Bungie. In this video, I'm going to be getting a lot of my frustrations with both the game, the devs, and the community out, because I'm done, quite frankly. I've completely lost faith in Bungie, and I know I'm not the only one. To those who have also uninstalled, or even to those who still have the game installed, what drove you away? What's keeping you around? Let's get some discussions going, but please, keep it civil. There's enough turmoil as it is. I apologize that the formatting of this video will be a bit more sporadic, since there's a lot I want to cover without turning this into a long-ass video essay. Do not go and harass or attack anyone mentioned in this video, no matter how much you dislike them or me. Currently, I have the game uninstalled with no intention of reinstalling it. The only, and I mean only, way I'd reinstall is if Renegades somehow hits it out of the park with its story, gameplay, and overall quality of life changes. But I honestly doubt it will. Renegades is a Star Wars expansion, not a Destiny expansion. Seriously, look at all this. You cannot tell me with a straight face that this looks anything like Destiny. Mom, can we have Destiny? No, honey, we have Destiny at home. Chicken walkers, stormtroopers, carbonite, a Death Star, a bloody sail barge, a Sarlacc pit, and Praxic blades. Nothing about this feels like it comes from the world of Destiny. None of it. Why would an Empire-esque faction hell-bent on blowing stuff up need a sail barge? If this were Callous or Loyalist related, then sure, I could maybe buy into that. But this isn't. Not even close. These guys hate Keitel and want the Vanguard gone, so why are they floating a sail barge into the middle of a war zone? It just doesn't make sense. Bungie has gone on record to state that this will be a Destiny story, a step further into the Fate saga.
Renegades is going to be a Destiny, definitively Destiny expansion. This is part of the Fate saga, and it's going to push it forward in important ways and introduce characters that we're going to spend time with for years to come. It is an essential Fate saga story, and it's an homage. 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 It's an homage.
Not to mention that the new game mode that this sail barge appears in is just straight up ripped from Helldivers 2. The only difference is the enemies and the game that it appears in. Other than that, it's just Helldivers 2 but with space magic. They're also trying to revive Gambit for the billionth time with yet another iteration of it called Invasion. Will it get played and or receive updates past launch? Probably not. Can we talk about the premises of Renegades for a second? Basically, the Drifter goes to the Vanguard to tell them about this new growing Cabal faction and how they're going to cause trouble, blah blah blah, and the Vanguard turns around and basically just calls him crazy. Ikora, this stuff is related to the Nine. Eris has vouched for him. You were there on Kepler. What are you doing? I understand Zavala is tired and lightless, but you'd think he'd have learned from what happened the last time a powerful group of Cabal turned their attention towards the city.
Welcome to a world without light. I am gold! And I have become legend. Do you see me now? I am immortal. A god!
So the story is already starting on a really bad foot. To give credit where credit is due, I actually like the designs for these new Cabal, the Baron Imperium, as well as their sub-faction, the Totality Division. Not gonna lie, I like the look of the Totality Division better than the main Baron Imperium look. We're also getting two new syndicates, the Elixni Pikers and the Vex Tharsis Reformation. Both look cool and seem to have neat story elements to play with, but only time will tell. The idea of a criminal underworld in the Destiny universe just doesn't work due to one main thing. There is no major form of government in the Sol system. But the Vanguard exists! Yeah, and they are only in power in the last city. They have no authority literally anywhere else in the system. So you can't really have an underground criminal organization when there's nothing to be underground from. Since the story of The Edge of Fate concluded, we've been tasked with reclaiming the Sol system in the subsequently named Reclaim activity. The first major area to venture into, the Plaguelands. Or as they are now more appropriately named, the Lands. Why the Lands? Because Bungie killed Siva and refused to bring it back due to resource limitations. Oh? They updated the splicer models and have them scattered across the Reclaim activity? So then they did lie when they said they couldn't do that. So what's stopping them from bringing back Wrath? Laziness and firing a huge majority of the team, so now Destiny's run by a skeleton crew that doesn't know what they're doing? Yeah, fair enough. Bungie claimed that Reclaim would introduce new activities never before seen by the players, such as killing stuff and looting, standing on a plate, health gating, and moving from area to area. How original! Wait, isn't this just the Nether? Bungie has gone on record to describe Renegades as a one-of-a-kind Destiny story that echoes ideas from Star Wars, such as themes of hope and underdogs rising up to take down dangerous foes. I'm sorry, underdogs? How many bloody times are we going to be put into the underdog category? We've killed several gods and the fucking Witness at the height of its power. We are most certainly not underdogs anymore. We haven't been for a long time. Ass and Iron opened up with an invasion on the tower. Maya's Vex were stealing Golden Age technology for whatever reason, and she was pulling Red Legion from another timeline and mind-controlling them to do her bidding. Two major problems here. Firstly, Maya's whole plan since her reveal as the Conductor. She wants to bring forth the Golden Age so she can live in it with her wife Chioma. The problem is, she already killed her real wife when searching for her in the other simulated copies of the Ishtar research team, and yet still wants to try and bring said wife and their Golden Age to the present day. She then tries to do this with 3 on Kepler after we stopped her in Echoes, but learns that's impossible and then kills 3. Now she's trying to use Golden Age technology to achieve the same goal, somehow, by pulling Red Legion soldiers that serve directly under a goal from another timeline to achieve this. Which begs one really big and problematic question. Why can't she bring any of the things related to her goal to this timeline? Why not bring Chioma here? Why not travel to a timeline where this desired future is possible? Why does this timeline matter so much when you have actively said you were going to swap the Golden Age spots on the timeline with our current version of the world? This plan just doesn't make sense. And secondly, is it me or does the tower feel rather empty? The reasoning Anna gave us is that only the Night Watch was available to respond, but there are a few issues with that. 1. We don't see the Night Watch other than a few stray frames. 2. Where are all the friendly Cabal, Elixir, and Awoken that have been standing around for a year doing absolutely nothing? And C. Where are all the Guardians? Not a single other random Guardian, nor Saint 14, Anna, Osiris, Marcus Wren, Anor, Zavala, Ikora, Shax, hell, even Banshee and Hawthorne. None of them are here to defend the tower against a combined Vex and Cabal attack. You're telling me that we'll send forces into the city to stop a small Vex incursion in the Elixir Quarter, but not send everyone to defend the tower when our main place of operations is invaded? You really want me to buy into that? So, why the Plaguelands? Well, it was very obviously for nostalgia brownie points with Reddit, but they left out everything that made the Plaguelands, well, the Plaguelands. All the Siva has been retextured, so now it looks dead and not its usual red, vibrant self. The splicers are all dead and their bodies lay scattered about. The lighting also just looks objectively worse. Like, look at this. It's so much duller and lifeless. It's just really disappointing because the community created a much better looking season and story element revolving around the Plaguelands and Siva in the form of Season of the Plague, which was conceived 5 years ago. The fact that Bungie announced they were bringing back the Plaguelands but made no mention of Wrath of the Machine, and both devs and content creators alike were shocked that people were upset when there was no true return of Siva, nor any sign of the final D1 raid to be reprised. Is it really surprising that you baited the community, got false hopes up without ever once clarifying that the expectations should be dampened in the realm of those specific things, and received backlash for such false expectations? Which I think leads me nicely into the subject of community relations with each other. The devs and content creators. Safe to say, relations across the board are on fire or on their last straw, and I think certain content creators aren't helping that. Within the past month, I've seen several Day 1 raiders just outright quit the Epic Rave race weeks or even a day before it happened. I've seen content creators stepping back from making content on the game for the foreseeable future or until Renegades launches. And to give credit where credit is due, there have been some healthy and painfully truthful conversations from most of these content creators. But on the other side of that coin, there have been several content creators stoking the flames and moving the goalpost. Dado, Bife, and Astacross are the big three that spring to mind when talking about this. Dado has publicly stated that the community will push him out before the game does, and has cited his break from now until Renegades as being a fault of a toxic community around the game. Bife, in his recent hour-long video, has also gone on to blame the community for being so negative.
Weird subset of people who have either never played the games they're complaining about, or who have completely uninstalled them long ago and yet still complain. And excuse my language here, but honestly, that shit is baffling to me. If you hate something to the point where you've uninstalled it, and you've unhitched yourself from that thing that you dislike, why are you still talking about it? It is no longer something that affects you, so why are you bringing it back into your life? The healthy and sane thing to do is to move on to something you do enjoy, and to spend your energy enjoying that. So why is Destiny in such a weird place of being a thing that so many people complain about after they've proclaimed to have uninstalled it?
It was at this point I clicked off the video because I'm sorry, but no, you cannot blame the community and Pete Parsons for everything and, in the same breath, defend the devs from it all. This may come as a shock to many, but Pete didn't have as wide of a hand in the actual gameplay development of things as people think. We've done this song and dance for over a decade now. First we blamed Activision, then we blamed Pete, but now they're both gone and only Bungie remains. Who's next to blame, Sony? No, it is the devs. I would argue it's been the devs for a while. Let me be very clear. Monetization and actual leadership-wise, yes, Pete is absolutely to blame. He and his vintage car collection can fuck right off. And the fact that he and no one else in leadership positions took any pay cuts to avoid further layoffs is disgusting. With that said, we are now at the lowest player count ever. The game is in shambles, and every change they make is either immediately reverted or absolutely despised by the community. Not a single change has been received well and is usually the opposite of what people ask for. That is textbook definition of being tone deaf. And we most certainly do not have a good way of communicating to the studio about how we actually feel. DMG04, Bungie's community manager, does not feel like a good middleman and hasn't for a long time. With both recent raid races of the Desert Perpetual, both the regular and epic versions, Bungie and DMG pissed off a lot of the community. Every single tweet made during the initial race, ignoring all the bugs or error reports, all just joking around and not acknowledging anything. And then this tweet. Jesus Christ. Do you ever think DMG lies awake at night haunted by this tweet? Everyone rightfully clowns on him for it, and because he's a really good community manager, he goes around blocking anyone who dares criticize him or the game. Several people tweeted out that they gave fair, respectful feedback on recent changes, and then they got blocked as a result. Again, it goes without saying, but I'll say it anyways, so people can't claim I didn't touch on this, but people actively harassing, stalking, or threatening devs, community managers, or content creators, hell, even other community members, can piss off. They do not deserve to be in this community or be anywhere close to it. They absolutely deserve to be blocked and banned. But genuine feedback, genuine calling out issues in the game? No, why would you block these people and then say we're listening? Listening to who? A brick wall? Case in point of the lack of care or attention put into every aspect of this game, the recent Movie of the Week fiasco. On the 11th of September 2025, Bungie released a TWAB, and the Movie of the Week featured in it ended with someone saying, "Have you molested any Twitch streamers lately?" We can debate whether this is funny or not all the way until the cows come home. The point being, Bungie didn't catch this, and it's very obvious why. They don't watch the Movie of the Week submissions or winners at all. I'm willing to bet they watch roughly the first 5 to 10 seconds and then slap the winner label on it, because this isn't the first time that this has happened, and I doubt it'll be the last. With such a broken game, not a single update releasing without the game shitting itself, you'd think the devs and everyone communicating with the community would be even more open and honest about the state of things. Unless they're being too honest, like in this tweet from the Bungie server status account. This is just laughably bad, which begs the question, why is this a thing? Why is the game falling apart at the seams? Well, a good start to a solution would be just to drop old gen consoles. Seriously, it's been over a decade, move to next gen, I'm begging you. Destiny Rising is sweeping the floor with you Neanderthals. Yes, it's a gacha game, but ignoring that element, it just does everything so much better and more. Bungie and content creators say the community is toxic and relentless, but in reality, that's just a vocal minority. The rest of us were upset and just plain tired. If you don't like the game, go play something else. Okay, we did. And now your game is on death's doorstep, and yet you still blame us. I've seen countless people saying we can't comment on or critique the game just because we've stopped playing. But why is that? Why can't we want to see the game that we once loved succeed and bounce back? Why can't we suggest ways to improve? You blame the community as a whole but ignore the real bad actors. As of the writing of this script, Lucky 10p publicly addressed and called out several bad faith actors in the community who have been harassing him for years over a false narrative. You may know about Lucky through the jokes about him being a deadbeat dad and not paying child support. Hell, that's how I originally heard of him. And it turns out that shit was false the whole time. Lucky reported all the accounts joking about it, accounts that had his son as their icon picture, and even those spreading the false narrative. Who was the main instigator? D2 Checkpoints. More specifically, Camo. Sorry lads, but the person running that account and managing it all is actually a scumbag, and rightfully deserves to be called out and shunned. You can have whatever views you want on Lucky's content, but bringing his family into the drama and actively lying about what's going on is unacceptable. And quite frankly, if Bungie wants to keep the status quo they've set, Camo should be banned. Bungie has banned many players over poor taste jokes, using in-game outfits to design edgy recreations of IRL outfits, and offensive clan names and gamertags. So, if they want to be fair and gain back some respect, ban Camo. It's both the right thing to do and is only fair. This would be one of the few times in recent months where Bungie would have earned an actual W. Look at all the bad changes and the backpedaling they've done as of recent. Every single time they do this, everyone screams into the heavens, "Massive Bungie W!" Except it isn't. To quote Skeletor,
No. You can't just back out of Poland, Hitler. We saw what you did.
you can't just stab someone and then expect praise for removing the knife. The wound is still there. They're still bleeding. Nothing was fixed and only further damage was caused. Look, I want this game to succeed. I want to enjoy playing Destiny again. But right now, with how things are, I just can't. The game my friends and I once loved is long dead and buried. What remains is a corpse being puppeted around, begging you to buy their 30+ Eververse armor sets, while the actual earnable gear sucks ass. For fuck's sake, they tried to pass off repurposed Iron Banner armor into the Eververse and cried when they got caught covering up the scandal. Bungie doesn't deserve your time or money. Only real change will happen when it hits them where it hurts, their pockets. If we want to see this game ever get remotely close to being good again, we need to vote with our wallets. We need them to wake the fuck up. I know I will have come across harsh and, dare I say, angry in this video, but that's because I care about this game, about this franchise, and it hurts seeing what's been done to it. The people, whoever is left that is, steering the ship have no clue what they're doing, and it's very apparent. They demand respect, yet give none to their players. As cheesy as it sounds, you should treat others the way you want to be treated. Spit in my face over and over, and I will eventually stop giving you chances. And this time, I'm truly done. I genuinely don't know if I'll ever make mainline Destiny content again. I was going to do a review of The Edge of Fate, but I just don't have the energy to sit through all that again. It was just boring. The Fate saga is off to a horrible start, probably a worse one than the Light and Dark saga. We have no compelling villain, a decent hook that is being heavily ignored in the follow-up expansion, and a studio drowning in a mess of its own design. So, I'm out. I'm done. Until they can prove that they can change, that there is actually a hope for the future, I won't be coming back. There are other games I want to play, other things I want to spend my time on, so that's what I'm going to do. We've got some bugs to exterminate, my fellow divers. For liberty.